and welcome to this special conversation on Moneycontrol. We're in conversation with partners at Accel, Anand Daniel and Shekhar Kirani. Now, Accel has just raised $650 million for its 8th fund to invest in India and Southeast Asia. We're going to be asking them about the key focus areas, a sense of the overall startup ecosystem. Thank you very much, Anand and Shekhar. Anand, 8th fund, 650 million. How tough was it or how easy was it closing this fund? You know, what sort of response did you get from LPs when you were closing out this fund? And 650 incidentally is the same amount that you raised, you know, in 2022 for your 7th fund. Were you aiming for a bigger number? Because in the run-up, there were reports that, you know, you would perhaps end up at 700 million. Take us through that.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having us, Chandra. Pleasure. It's been a good season for Accel overall, and we're fortunate to close the fund. And we aim for a 650 fund. We don't know what people write about, but we aim for a 650 fund. We feel it's the right size fund for our early stage India focus, and we're able to get that.
You've outlined 4 areas that you will look at: AI, consumer brands, fintech, and manufacturing. Take us through that, because you've already started, you know, placing some of those bets, whether it's consumer brand or manufacturing. What will be different this time?
Yeah, I'll talk about a couple of them, and Shekhar, you can pitch in on the others. So on consumer, we're looking at, let's say, consumer, not just brands alone, consumer tech. We're looking at the Bharat opportunity, as you know. So what is there beyond the top 50 cities and the population there with more expendable income? Right, we are very excited about that opportunity. We can double click on that if you want. So that's something. And then we are also looking at India native opportunities. What we mean by that is there are problems which are very specific to India. For example, Orange Health brings diagnostics to your doorstep and does a really good job of that. So are there models, or Meragi, which we all heard about, the Ambani wedding, the big weddings, right? So, but the regular Indian wedding, how do you make that whole process smoother? So India native problems is another bucket that we
would also fall in that.
Yes, right. So that's right. So anything which is India native problems, right, is the second bucket. And third is what you talked about for the Gen Z. What are the new brands that they are excited about?
Like what you've done with New
Me kind of things, or like other such options as well, right? So I think these are 3 areas within consumer, and then maybe Shekhar, you can talk about AI, and we'll talk about the different sectors.
But just a follow-up,
sure.
Anand.
Yeah.
You know, Bharat theme.
Yes.
What is giving you the confidence? Because in the past, people have cited India's GDP per capita to say that, you know, Bharat models may not have that much scale, that much consumption spend compared to the top 50, 100, 150 million users. Are you seeing something shift there? What is kind of giving you the confidence to, you know, play on the Bharat theme?
That's a good question. A few different things. If you look at about 500 billion of spend happens in rural India. We did some calculations to look at that. And then the top 20% of people in Bharat spend more than the bottom 50% of urban India, right? These data points, and also there's a recent data point last year where the amount of non-food expenditure in Bharat has surpassed the food expenditure. So showing that there is more expendable income there also, disposable income. So this is one factor. The second is the access to them in the last 5 years has gone both digitally, right? 450 million internet users, they are spending a lot of time, more than 60 minutes, 100 minutes a day on their mobile app. They want the best things that all of us are looking at across India. So the access digitally as well as logistically has really improved. So that is the second aspect. So, and the third is obviously the founders are starting to think about what are the problems, the known problems in urban India solved. Can we look at problems outside of this and then go solve that as well? These are the 3 things that makes it more exciting for us.
Right. Yeah. Shekhar, AI, you know, what trends are you seeing there? Because there's always this, you know, constant debate. Should India focus on foundational models? Should they focus on the application layer? Are we lagging behind when it comes to investing behind foundational models? So what trends are you seeing there, and what will you invest behind?
So, you know, we have spent a lot of time looking at the opportunity set as well as right to win for Indian startups in the AI sphere. So if you look at our SaaS, it used to be predominantly on the application side. vertical SaaS at application layer. We saw a few in infra, but almost zero in the core foundational structures that went against, say, GCP or Azure or AWS. So every company built on top of an infra that was provided by somebody else. That's what the edge Indian companies as SaaS did over the last 10 years. So if I look forward, our belief and our prepared thesis is it will be more AI services software rather than just software as service. Secondly, it's about taking advantage of nuanced applications being built for global market from India, taking advantage of all the core infrastructures, including core LLM models. So that's a second thesis. India only LLM models, we still need to see it developed, and there is an edge for India LLMs to be able to beat global LLMs and to be able to do in Indian languages, and there is an actual business model to be possible, because the unit economics of what it takes to build core infra LLMs in India, the amount of money required with the training that is required is so high right now. We don't see a return on that investment yet for building those models from India for India. But if we can build something nuanced for global market from India, including India market, which is the application layer, that's what we are excited about. And we have sub-theses in each of this services software and how these vertical apps are being built in India. And we are looking at, we have done some already in the market, and we are doing several theses around that.
How worried are you about the traditional SaaS subscription models in an era of AI?
Actually, I was worried in 2023 a lot more, but 2025, where we are today, I'm less and less worried.
Why is that?
So what I'm seeing is every one of our company, it took a little bit of their time to readjust their mindset in terms of what is the need of AI and how do I bring AI into the existing customers. There is a change that is required in terms of the business model. But having said that, the ability to absorb AI and bring AI features into their core products, I'm already seeing all our SaaS companies at scale absorbing it.
2024 also saw IPOs of Swiggy and Blackbuck. What can we expect in 2025? Because many of your portfolio companies have either filed or are in the process of filing. Many of them are IPO ready, from Bluestone to Inframarket to, I think, Zetwork. What can we expect in terms of IPOs from the Accel portfolio?
I think you mentioned Bluestone has already filed the DRHP. There's at least a handful of other companies that are at a scale, as well as, the preparation with the board and everything is happening or
handful
happened.
Would be what, half a dozen or?
Shekhar?
Okay, the way I would answer this question is our scale companies, where in 2022 and 23, we have to put so much pressure to say, get prepared for IPO. In 24, it flipped. Founders are putting pressure on us that we want to go and list, help us. So there is a pull rather than push. That fundamental change is so important for the Indian ecosystem or all of the startups world is unbelievable. Because what happens is once founders decide that it's no more about just raising money, it's no more about just, I can lose money but continue to raise, versus the true measure of real business is listing and compounding for next 10, 15, 20 years in Indian IPO market. That shift has happened. And that is what we're excited about. Every one of our company, which can list at somewhere between, say, $500 million plus, they're all getting ready and at various stages of preparation. And we are helping all of them. Obviously, there is a timing question, scale question. Are you able to predict the revenues and deliver consistently? Or if you want to wait for another year or two and before you list, that is what we are guiding them with. But we are introducing to all the public banks and mutual funds, and they are involved with our own, one of our corp dev person, so that knowledge and awareness and preparedness is all happening. They know the destination is now a world-class IPO listing and consistently deliver the results. So that is the great news.
Right. Anand, in terms of the perception about Indian startups among LPs, a year or year and a half ago, this whole edtech space was imploding because of Byju's. There were a few startups that were grappling with governance issues. So many VCs we spoke to then said that this was top of mind for LPs. Has that sentiment shifted? Because it's been a very good year in terms of exits. More than a dozen IPOs, this year. Many of them did very well. I think founders also were very realistic about the price they would list at. So has that sentiment changed among foreign LPs?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think this year, last year, because of the IPOs and IPOs demand, there's a really good board, there's good corporate governance and everything to go through properly. And that has happened. I think this time there was less focus, diverse questions, but not as much as we get them periodically from LPs, those who are visiting us the year before and all that. It used to be top of mind, as you pointed out. So I think the IPOs have helped allay the fears that, okay, these are good companies and with good boards and corporate governance, they're able to go demonstrate that they're able to list and then predictably grow from there. So less, but still we need to continue focusing on that.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of the opportunities that you see in e-commerce, quick commerce, I mean, Accel, was in Flipkart very early, Swiggy very early. What kind of opportunities do you see there? Because quick commerce has sort of become red hot in 2024 with, Zepto's record fundraise, and you've taken a bet on a startup called Swish, which is 10-15 minute food delivery. What kind of opportunities do you see in quick commerce going forward?
That's a good question. So I think the Indian consumer has definitely shifted to convenience. Till the 10-minute or like quick commerce deliveries happened, it was a theory, right? But last 24 months, it's definitely arrived. Like they want everything and they want everything now, right? So I think that switch has happened. And you mentioned Swish, food is different because you have to prepare it. But even there, you're seeing fast deliveries happen. We're seeing a bunch of startups trying to do various verticals, be it beauty, personal care, or fashion,
everything in 10
or
minutes.
pharmacy, everything in 10 minutes. So it's a good time to be an Indian consumer sitting at home and ordering and getting everything. So much so I was commenting, when we travel abroad, even to develop markets, we feel we're missing some of these platforms
Services.
outside, right? Both products and services.
So what opportunities do you see there? Will you invest behind more of these verticalized players? I don't know, fashion in 10 minutes, medicine in 10 minutes.
I think it's case by case. If you look, you mentioned Flipkart, there was a Flipkart and there's a Myntra. There are certain categories where, and these are not necessarily all, it's a $1 trillion retail market we're talking about. So there's going to be multiple opportunities, multiple large platforms getting created, or at least brands for that matter. So it's very case specific. We are looking at a lot of startups and love to talk to a lot more who are trying to make convenience the core, right, and value and balance that against the price, right? So and the offerings. So if you look, you have the number of SKUs that you're carrying at a price point and convenience. You have to mix all three, and it's different for different verticals. So we're looking for more interesting opportunities.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of developing the next generation of leaders at Accel, Subrata and Prashant Prakash have sort of led the charge for a very long time. Now we're seeing Shekhar, of course, for a long time, and then Abhinav and so on. Will they continue to have an active role? What plans do you have in terms of succession planning for Accel as a fund?
Yeah, I'll start, and Shekhar, please add on. So Subrata, Prashant and Mahindran started Accel in India, and they continue to be actively involved, investing and mentoring the next generation.
Erasmic and
then Accel in 2008. So they continue to be actively involved, investing as well as help mentoring the next generation. So Shekhar and I joined around about the same time. Then Abhinav, Priyank and Bharat joined, which is the next layer of partners. And I'm saying layer because these are different vintages when we joined and became partnerships. And then there's Rachit and Pratik or principals there. So we've over the last 15 years, 16 years, we have tried to hire people, and including I joined as a principal, and then work with the firm and then grow with the firm over a period of time. So that's how it's been, and we're happy that as a team we've stuck together and grown along with the industry. Shekhar, anything to add?
Yeah, the most important thing is that we're building both breadth and depth in the org, and we're ensuring that the culture of being founder friendly, founder first, being humble, doing the work that is required in the market is kept intact. So whatever we learned from Prashant, Mahindran and Subrato, we're ensuring that is continuing to happen in the overall Accel behavior pattern in India. And in addition to that, the best part where the day-to-day operational part, some of us have taken over the day-to-day things, but from an investment perspective, networking perspective, relationship perspective, all the founding partners are very involved, and also, as he said, mentoring our younger investors, so that when they are rushing to a decision, how to think about it, because there is a wealth of 15 years of experience in the firm that we want to extract.
Right.
And that is how the firm is continuing to operate.
Yeah, final question. In terms of the vintage of entrepreneurs today, right? I mean, some of the most prominent ones are people who started up in 2015, 2012, that kind of timeline from Dipinder to Harsha. So, where is the next Harsha Majeti? Where is the next Girish Mathrubootham? Where is the next Sachin Bansal? Are we seeing founders of that DNA?
What we used to see a decade back to now, we are seeing a lot more high quality founders in high volume coming up with very ambitious, unique ideas and pitching and saying that we want to raise. So the good news is supply is phenomenal. The bad news, in my opinion, is it feels every category is occupied. The existing founders are also continue to build scale and ambitious, and they want to expand their wings. They want to take more. So what is the right for these new founders to win? That requires a lot more nuanced thinking, both as investors as well as for founders, to put that thesis together compared to what we used to see in 2015. For example, when food delivery was started, there was no existing food delivery companies I would go and win against. So there's like 40 of them started. We met all of them. We picked Swiggy and Harsha, and that, we got it right. But Swiggy and Harsha was not going against somebody who was already another startup established. But now you pick any category, ecommerce, it's all startups that we have incubated and started about 10, 15 years back. So every service, everything else, there are existing startups. So the new founders, even though they're ambitious and smart, they have to be a lot more focused, lot more priority thinking, where they're going to differentiate. So that is where the market has shifted. Versus the quality of founders, yes, far better. Volume of founders, a lot more. Versus market is becoming much more harder.
Does it also become more difficult to score outsized returns like what you...
It feels that way, but we are seeing, like, when we did Zworks or Infra Market, it looked like, how can this be a large company? But we felt like if manufacturing happens global, we are looking at it as like, in one of the fastest growing companies, multi-billion-dollar revenues in less than 5 years. That we never used to see before.
Right.
No, I think if you look at India right now, to go from 4 trillion to wherever, 8 trillion, 10 trillion, whatever you think, I think the opportunity is ahead of us, right? So, and every aspect of the problems, like from access to people through the mobile phone is solved, logistics is solved, government's very supportive, they're investing in infrastructure and everything, right? And then founders are more and more ambitious, right? So each generation wants to beat the previous generation, which is great. Like they'll say, I want to be the next, you mentioned Harsha Plus, right? So, or Sachin Bini from Gen 1. They are the true initial, I would say they're building on top of their shoulders, right? They're giants there. So I think the ambition is there. And again, Indian founders are starting to think we can not only build for India, but for the globe, right? Be the Zworks or the infra markets, like and in AI. You can truly build with AI and in AI, and using the services infrastructure that we have that has been built over the last 2 decades. I think the next decade is the golden opportunity, both in India and globally. So we are pretty excited. Who's the next big founder? I wish we knew, because this is more like, these are people, and they can come from anywhere. We don't believe it's about the college or where they come from or anything, right? It's true innovators who come and want to change the way India and the globe operates, and we are excited to be able to partner with them from early days, and looking forward to meeting more of them.
Right. On that note, thank you very much, Anand and
Thank you.
Shekhar, for talking
Awesome.
to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.